1 in 150 children are affected by an autism spectrum disorder, a wide array of developmental disabilities that affect people in different ways. For the individuals and families living with autism, every day brings new challenges. For many, it takes a long time to get a diagnosis. Sarah Krim, a mother of 3, noticed early on that her second child, her son Ben, was different from her daughter Naomi, the firstborn.
I just sort of took it for granted that boys are different than girls. The first thing that made me take notice is that his language, he was slower in developing all around. So he was a late walker, and he was very happy to just crawl, and his language developed later.
Researchers don't know what exactly causes autism. There is evidence that there is a strong genetic component, and most scientists believe that genetics interact with environmental factors to trigger the disorder. There are many different interventions that help people affected by autism, but there is no known cure. Dr. Mandel is the Associate Director of the Center for Autism Research at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia.
Traditionally, autism is conceptualized as causing impairments in 3 domains. The first is language. So these are individuals who have difficulty communicating with others. The second set of symptoms have to do with what we call bizarre or repetitive behaviors. So in severely affected children, this can be highly repetitive motions like hand flapping or spinning, what we call self-stimulation or stimming. In less affected individuals, it could be an obsession with routine. So it might be needing to have all of your toys lined up in a certain way. And if anybody changes that order, it can be extraordinarily distressing to the individual, or having to do things in a particular order. So those 2 domains are very important, and they vary tremendously in children with autism. The most important domain of symptoms and the hallmark of the disorder has to do with impairments in socialization. So these are children who often don't understand or are completely uninterested in normal social rules of engagement, who don't understand social distance, who don't understand turn-taking, who may not even understand that the person in front of them has a mind and is thinking something that is different than what the person with autism is thinking. And more, we really think about autism as a disorder of socialization, and that social impairment being the most important of those 3 domains.
Depending on which symptoms a child exhibits, there are different therapies and interventions that help children learn and develop.
The children have a classroom teacher, and an assistant. In addition to those staff people, we have occupational therapists, speech therapists, physical therapists who help the children to learn and grow. And if they have a diagnosis that says they need more help walking or talking, then they get the speech or the OT or the PT, occupational therapy, physical therapy, or speech therapy. It is my philosophy that you can stay home and get hollered at. Here, the objective is to have a good time while you learn.
And research shows the earlier a child starts to receive treatment, the better the outcomes.
Early intervention is really birth to age 3, and it is designed not just to help the very young child, but also to help the family. So it's a much more supportive kind of set of services. And they will bring therapists into your home. And if you need education or parent education or parent support or sibling support, it provides all those services. In that sense, it's very nurturing.
The more information we get, the more we really understand that kids who start appropriate behavioral intervention early have better outcomes than kids who don't.
Because it's not going to be about the half an hour that you spend with a therapist. It's going to make a difference with the kid. It's what you're reinforcing all the time.
The earlier that we can get in and help them to learn acceptable ways, successful ways to get through the day, the better it is for the child, the more independent he or she is able to exhibit.
Ben Krim received years of therapy to deal with different types of challenging behaviors.
Yeah, Ben had a lot of trouble with transitions, with new settings. And when I say a lot of trouble, I mean tantrums, crying. We went through a period of time where if he loved riding in the car, and if we had to come to a red light, he just could not tolerate that the car had to stop. And so every red light you came to, that kid was in his car seat in the back of the car screaming.
Bob Falwell has observed this kind of behavior in children with autism. He worked as an EMT and volunteered to drive twins with autism to and from their school every day for a year.
They would be crying, they'd be yelling, they didn't want to go, it would be different things, but it wouldn't be any kind of eye contact with me, it wouldn't be any kind of interaction. It would just, I could walk them out, I could take their hands, but again, it was just nothing. With a normal child, there would be some kind of interaction, positive or negative, but there was no really, mental interaction or really physical interaction. They wouldn't even reach out their hand and give it to you. And then at one point, they did get to the point of reaching out for me.
It's just a lot of patience that you need to have with the children. You need to find out what they like and or are willing to work for.
Few people can understand this better than Ben's sister, Naomi.
I have to learn how to be more patient and stuff. Naturally, I'm not the most patient person, so being Ben's sister has made me have to slow down and be more patient with him. Well, obviously, I'm used to it because that's all I've ever known. But things can be difficult. Like, we don't do activities that a normal family might do because they're too hard for Ben. Yeah, you just have to be a lot more patient.